Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chet Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Tirike Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10. Today we're starting new chapter, chapter 72, the slaying of the demon Jarasandha. So yesterday we studied how Krishna, along with his queens and big entourage, he went to Indraprastha and he was welcomed by Yudhishthira Maharaj and all the Pandavas, Mother Kunti, Draupadi, Subhadra, everybody was there to welcome him. And let's see now what happens. Shri Shukvacha, Ekata tu Sabha Madhya, Astito Munibhir Vrita, Brahmana Kshatriya Vaishya, Bhratri Bhishcha Yudhishthira, Acharya Kul Vridhascha, Gyati Sambandhi Bandhava, Shanvatam Eva Chaitesham, Abhashedam Uvachaha. Shukdev Goswami said, one day as King Yudhishthira sat in the royal assembly, surrounded by eminent sages, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, and also by his brothers, spiritual masters, family elders, blood relations, in-laws, and friends, he addressed Lord Krishna as everyone listened. Shri Yudhishthira Vacha, Kratu Rajena Govinda, Rajsuyena Pavani, Yaksha Vibhutir Bhavatas Tat Sampadayana Prabhu. Shri Yudhishthira said, O Govinda, I desire to worship your auspicious, opulent expansions by the Rajsuya sacrifice, the king of Vedic ceremonies. Please make our endeavor a success, my lord. Srila Sridhar Swami states that the word Vibhuti refers to Lord Krishna's expansions, and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur further explains that the word Vibhuti refers to Lord Krishna's opulent expansions within this world, such as the demigods and other empowered beings. Thus, Srila Prabhupada treats this verse as follows in Krishna book. My dear Lord Krishna, the sacrifice known as Rajsuya sacrifice is to be performed by the emperor, and it is considered the king of all sacrifices. By performing this sacrifice, I wish to satisfy all the demigods who are your empowered representatives within this material world. And I wish that you will kindly help me in this great venture so that it may be successfully executed. As far as Pandavas are concerned, we have nothing to ask from the demigods. We are personally fully satisfied to be your devotees. As you say in Bhagavad Gita, persons bewildered by material desires worship the demigods. But my purpose is different. I want to perform this Rajsuya sacrifice and invite the demigods to show that they have no power independent of you, that they're all your servants and you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Foolish persons with the poor fund of knowledge consider your lordship an ordinary human being. Sometimes they try to find faults in you. Sometimes they defame you. Therefore, I wish to perform this Rajsuya Yajna. I wish to invite all the demigods, beginning from Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and other exalted chiefs of the heavenly planets. And in that great assembly of demigods from all parts of the universe, I want to substantiate that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead and that everyone is your servant. So even this Rajsuya sacrifice, although it is recommended for the Kshatriya kings, Yudhishthira Maharaj said, I don't need to perform this. I want to perform this to substantiate your supremacy over everybody else. And can we believe in this Rajsuya sacrifice? Demigods from all parts of the universe are going to come and attend it. That's the power of a devotee, actually. Tvat paduke aviratam pariye charanti, dhyayanti abhadra nashne shuchiyo grinanti, vindanti te kamalanav bhavapa vargam, Ashasate yadi, the ashish ishna anye. Purified persons who constantly serve, meditate upon, and glorify your shoes, which destroy everything inauspicious, are sure to obtain freedom from material existence. O lotus-naveled one, even if they desire something in this world, they obtain it, whereas others, those who do not take shelter of you, are never satisfied, O Lord. So this is the real purpose of sacrifice, to please Krishna. Rest, everything is just the details, that's all. Srila Prabhupada writes in Krishna book that Krishna conscious persons do not even desire to become freed from this material existence or to enjoy material opulences. Their desires are fulfilled by Krishna conscious activities. As far as Maharaj Yudhishthira is saying, as far as we are concerned, we are fully surrendered unto your lotus feet. And by your grace, we are so fortunate to see you personally. Therefore, naturally, we have no desire for material opulences. The verdict of the Vedic wisdom is that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I want to establish this fact. I also want to show the world the difference between accepting you as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and accepting an ordinary, powerful, historical person. I wish to show the world that one can attain the highest perfection of life simply by taking shelter at your lotus feet. Exactly as one can satisfy the branches, twigs, leaves, and flowers of an entire tree simply by watering the root. Thus, if one takes to Krishna consciousness, his life becomes fulfilled both materially and spiritually. So this is Maharaj Yudhishthira's point. Krishna Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains, we feel no great urgency to perform the Rajasuya sacrifice, nor do we have any personal interest, since we are already seeing your lotus feet, and by your boundless mercy we have been taken into your personal association. But in this world there are some whose hearts are contaminated and who thus think you are not the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but an ordinary man, or else they find faults with you and even criticize you. This is an arrow piercing our hearts. So we want to establish that once and for all. Of course, in this sacrifice, first Jarasandha will be killed, and after the sacrifice, Shishupal will be killed. So many purposes Krishna fulfills through all the pastimes. Taddeva deva bhavatas charanarvinda sevanubhavam ih pashyatu lokayesha etvam bhajanti na bhajanti utvo bhayesham nishtham pradarshay vibho kuru srijayanam. Therefore, O Lord of Lords, let the people of this world see the power of devotion service rendered to your lotus feet. Please show them, O Almighty One, the position of those Kurus and Srinjayas who worship you and the position of those who do not. Here we clearly see the heart of a preacher. The great devotee Yudhishthira Maharaj implores Lord Krishna to demonstrate plainly the result of worshipping him and the result of not worshipping him. If the people of the world could understand this, they could begin to recognize that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God, and that everyone's ultimate self-interest lies in surrendering to him. As confirmed by great authorities, Yudhishthira Maharaj is a pure devotee of the Lord. Thus, his actual motivation in discharging his duties as a king was to establish the supremacy of Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he didn't want to perform this yajna for himself. He wanted to do it as a service to Krishna. Na brahmana swapar bhedam atitastva syat sarvatmana samdrisha swasukhanubhute samsevatam suratarorivte prasadaha sevanurupamudyo na viparyayo atra. Within your mind, there can be no such differentiation as this one is mine and that is another's, because You are the supreme absolute truth, the soul of all beings, always equipoised and enjoying transcendental happiness within yourself. Just like the heavenly desire tree, you bless all who properly worship you, granting their desired fruits in proportion to the service they render you. There is nothing wrong in this. So Krishna does not differentiate because everybody is his. Everything comes from him. Every jiva, every energy, everything comes from him only. So everything belongs to him. He just loves his devotees more than anybody else. That's all. Srila Sridhar Swami explains that a desired tree has no material attachments or partiality, but simply bestows its fruits upon those who deserve them, not upon others. Jiva Goswami Prabhupada adds that a desired tree does not think this person is fit to worship me, but that other person is not. Rather, a desired tree is satisfied with all who properly serve it. And the Lord acts in the same way as explained here by Maharaj Yudhishthira. So Srila Prabhupada gives his commentary in Krishna book. If one takes to Krishna consciousness, his life becomes fulfilled, both materially and spiritually. This does not mean that you are partial to the Krishna conscious person and indifferent to the non-Krishna conscious person. You are equal to everyone. That is your declaration. You cannot be partial to one and not interested in others. Because you are sitting in everyone's heart as a super soul and giving everyone the respective results of his fruitive activities. So, but devotees are just more dear to him. That's all. Shri Bhagwan Vacha. Samyak Vyavasitam Rajan Bhavata Shatru Karshana Kalyani Yena Te Kirtir Lokan Anubhavishyati. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, your decision is perfect, O King, and thus your noble fame will spread to all the worlds, O tormentor of your enemies. Lord Krishna here concurs with King Yudhishthira's decision that the Rajasuya sacrifice should be performed. The Lord further agrees that there is nothing unfair in the fact that one result is achieved by those who worship him and another by those who do not. So he addresses King Yudhishthira as Shatru Karshan, tormentor of enemies. Lord Krishna is imparting to him the potency to conquer all the enemy kings. Thus Krishna predicted that King Yudhishthira's noble fame would spread to all the worlds, and in fact, it has. Rishinam Bitri Devanam Suridam Api Na Prabhu Sarvesham Api Tanam Ipsita Kraturadayam. Indeed, my Lord, for the great sages, the forefathers and the demigods, for our well-wishing friends, and indeed for all living beings, the performance of this king of Vedic sacrifices is desirable. So that's why it's called Rajasuya Yajna. Raja is a king of all the sacrifices. Vijitya niriptina sarvan kritva cha jagatim vashe samvritya sarva sambharan arasva mahakratam. First conquer all kings, bring the earth under your control and collect all the required paraphernalia. Then execute this great sacrifice. Etete bhrataro rajan lokapalasha sambhava jito asmi atma bhavata te aham durjaya yokritatma bhi. These brothers of yours, O king, have taken birth as partial expanded demigods ruling various planets. And you are so self-controlled that you have conquered even me, who am unconquerable for those who cannot control their senses. So Srila Prabhupada writes in Krishna book, it is said that Bhima was born of the demigod Vayu and that Arjun was born of the demigod Indra, whereas King Yudhishthira himself was born of the demigod Yamaraj. Srila Prabhupada goes on to state, Lord Krishna told King Yudhishthira that he is conquered by the love of one who has conquered his senses. One who has not conquered his senses cannot conquer the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is a secret of devotional service. To conquer the senses means to engage them constantly in the service of the Lord. The specific qualification of all the Pandya brothers was that they always engage their senses in the Lord's service. One who thus engages his senses becomes purified, and with purified senses, the devotee can actually render transcendental loving service to the Lord and conquer him. But of course, the purpose of a devotee is not to conquer the Lord, he is just there to serve the Lord. But Krishna says, I get conquered by a devotee who's serving me with controlled senses. Na kashanmat param loke tejasa yashasa shriya vibhuti bhirva bhi bhaveda devo api kimu parthiva. No one in this world, even a demigod, but to speak of an earthly king, can defeat my devotee with his strength, beauty, fame, or riches. Wow, that's a very profound statement by Krishna, profound declaration. Here, Lord Krishna assures King Yudhishthira that he will have no problem conquering the worldly king, since the king is a pure devotee, and Lord's pure devotees can never be conquered, even by the demigods, what to speak of earthly kings. Although materialists are proud of their power, fame, beauty, and opulence, they can never surpass the pure devotees of the Lord in any of these categories. So, but it says pure devotee. Not people like us who are trying to be devotees. But with Krishna's mercy or Krishna's representative's mercy, anything is possible. Shri Shukuvach, Nishamya Bhagavad Geetam, Prita Fulla Mukhambuja, Bhratrin Vijaya Yukta, Vishnu Tejo Pabramhitam. Shukdev Goswami said, upon hearing these words sung by the Supreme Lord, King Yudhishthira became joyful, and his face blossomed like a lotus. Thus he sent forth his brothers, who were empowered with Lord Vishnu's potency to conquer all directions. It's just like when Srila Prabhupada used to just send his devout disciples all over the world. They hardly had any knowledge, hardly had any books, or any money or anything. But Prabhupada would send them. He sent one devotee to Japan, okay, go open Japan. One devotee to South America, okay, go open South America. One devotee, what is he going to do? But this is how devotees did. They just went to the different countries, different continents. And they started preaching, and Prabhupada gave them the power. Of course, Prabhupada had the power of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu. So he gave them the power by which they could preach. And they did. They preached, they started the movement, different centers were started, and money was coming in, books were being distributed, devotees were being made, temples were established, deities were installed. This is how Prabhupada did. And this is how they see Maharaj Yudhishthira is going to do, because he got the potency of Krishna. Sahadevam dakshinasyam adishat sahasrinjaya dishi pratichayam nakulam udichayam savyasachinam prachyam vrikodaram matsya kekeya sahamadrakah. He sent Sahadev to the south with the Srinjayas, Nakul to the west with Matsyas, Arjun to the north with the Kakeyas, and Bhima to the east with Madrakas. So those were the different forces he sent with all his four brothers. Te vijit nripana vira aja hur digbhya ojasa ajata shatrave bhuri dravidam nrip yakshate. After defeating many kings with their prowess, these heroic brothers brought back abundant wealth for Yudhishthira Maharaj. who was intent on performing the sacrifice, O king. Srila Prabhupada writes, it may be noted that by dispatching his younger brothers to conquer in various directions, King Yudhishthira did not actually intend that they declare war with the kings. Actually, the brothers started for different directions to inform the respective kings about King Yudhishthira's intention to perform the Ratriya sacrifice. The kings were thus informed that they were required to pay taxes for the execution of the sacrifice. This payment of taxes to Emperor Yudhishthira meant that the king accepted his subjugation before him. In case of a king's refusal to act accordingly, there was certainly a fight. Thus, by their influence and strength, the brothers conquered all the kings in different directions, and they were able to bring in sufficient taxes and presentations. These were brought before King Yudhishthira by his brothers. So they needed lots of money for the sacrifice. See, for himself, King Yudhishthira did not need any money. So that's why he did not collect taxes before. But now he wanted to perform the sacrifice, and that too to establish Krishna's glories. Shrutvajitam jarasandham niripter dhyayato hari aho payam tamevadya udho yamuvachaha. When King Yudhishthira heard that Jarasandha remained undefeated, he set to pondering, and then the primeval Lord Hari told him the means Uddhava had described for defeating Jarasandha. Bhimaseno Arjuna Krishna Brahma Linga Gadhrad Straya Jagmur Giri Vrajam Tata Brihadaratha Suto Yataha. Thus Bhimsen, Arjuna and Krishna disguised themselves as Brahmins and went to Girivraj, my dear king, where the son of Brihadarath was to be found. So that was the capital where Jarasandha was living. Te gatvatithya velayam griheshu grihimedhinam brahmanyam samaya cheram rajanya brahmlingina. Disguised as Brahmins, the royal warriors approached Jarasandha at home during the appointed hour for receiving guests. They submitted their entreaty to that beautiful householder who was especially respectful to Brahminical class. So Prabhupada says, King Jarasandha was a very dutiful householder and he had great respect for the Brahmins. He was a great fighter, a Kshatriya king, but he was never neglectful of the Vedic injunctions. According to Vedic injunctions, the Brahmins are considered to be the spiritual masters of all castes. Lord Krishna, Arjuna, and Bhimsen were actually Kshatriyas, but they dressed themselves as Brahmins. Obviously, Krishna is beyond anything, but here he's acting as a king, as a Kshatriya. So, Prabhupada writes, he was actually a Kshatriya. But they dressed themselves as Brahmins. And at the time when King Jarasandha was to give charity to the Brahmins and receive them as guests, they approached him. Rajan vidvayati thina praptan arthino duramagatan tanna prayach bhatram te yadvayam kamyam mahe. Krishna, Arjuna, and Bhima said, O king, know us to be the needy guests who have come to you from afar. We wish all good unto you. Please grant us whatever we desire. Kim durmarsham titikshunam, kim karyam asadhubi, kim na deyam vadanyanam, ka para samadarsinam. What can the tolerant not bear? What will the wicked not do? What will the generous not give in charity? And who will those of equal vision see as an outsider? So in the previous verse, Lord Krishna and the two Pandava brothers, Bhima and Arjuna, requested Jarasandha to grant them whatever they asked of him. Here they explain why there is no need for them to specify their desire. So Acharya's comment, Jarasandha might be thinking, what if you request my son from whom separation would be intolerable? To this possible objection, Krishna and the Pandavas reply, for a tolerant person, nothing is intolerable. What if you ask me to give my body or my precious jewels or other ornaments which are meant to be given to my sons, not to ordinary beggars? For that they replied, For the generous, what is not to be donated in charity? So they practically defeated all his arguments. Yo anityena sharirena satam geyam yasho dhruvam nachinoti swayam kalpa savachya shoche evasa. He indeed is to be censured and pitied, who, though able to do so, fails to achieve with this temporary body the lasting fame glorified by great saints. Harishchandro rantideva uchavritti shibir bali vyadha kapoto bahavo hiya dhruvena dhruvam gataha. Harishchandra, Rantidev, Unchavritti, Mudgal, Shibi, Bali, the famous hunter and pigeon, and many others have attained the permanent by means of the impermanent, means by giving the charity. Shri Shukvacha, Swararakriti Bhistastu Prakoshthairjya Hatarapi Rajanya Bandhun Vigyaya Drishtapurvan Achintayat. Shukdev Goswami said, from the sound of their voices, their physical stature, and the marks of bowstrings on their forearms, Jarasandha could tell that his guests were of the royal order, means they were Kshatriyas. He understood they are not Brahmins. He began to think he had seen them somewhere before. The Acharyas point out that Jarasandha had seen Lord Krishna, Bhim, and Arjuna at Draupadi's Swayamvar ceremony. Since they had come begging in the guise of Brahman, Jarasandha thought they must be low-class Kshatriyas, as indicated here by the word Rajanya Bandhu. So he was thinking they are not highly class of Kshatriyas. Rajanya Bandhavo hiyete brahmalingani viprati dadani bhikshitam tebhya atmanam api dustyajam. Jarasandha thought, these are surely members of the royal order dressed as Brahmins, but still, I must grant their request for charity even if they beg me for my own body. So these are the kings in the Vedic time, not too long ago, 5,000 years ago only. Although he was demoniac, but he still respected Vedic culture. Here, Jarasandha reveals his strong commitment to charity, especially when begged by Brahmins. Baleranu shruyate kirtir vitata dikshva kalmasha aishwaryat bharanshit tasyapi vipravayajena vishnuna. Shriyam jihirsha tendriyasya vishnave dvijarupine jananapi mahim pradat varya manavapi datyarat. Indeed, the spotless glories of Bali Maharaj are heard throughout the world. Lord Vishnu, wishing to recover Lord Indra's opulence from Bali, appeared before him in the guise of a Brahman and made him fall from his powerful position. Though aware of the rules and forbidden by his guru, Bali, king of the demons, still gave Vishnu the whole earth in charity. Jivata Brahmana Arthaya Konvartha Kshatrabandhuna Dehena Patamanena Nehata Vipulam Yashaha. What's the use of an unqualified Kshatriya who goes on living but fails to gain everlasting glory by working with his perishable body for the benefit of Brahman? Iti udaramati praha Krishna Arjuna Vrikodara he vipra priyatam kamo dadami atma shiropi vaha. Shukdev Goswami continued, thus making up his mind, the generous Jarasandha addressed Krishna, Arjuna, and Bhima. O learned Brahmins, choose whatever you wish. I'll give it to you, even if it is my own head. Shri Bhagwan Vacha, Yuddham no dehi Rajendra, Dvandvasho Yadimanyase, Yuddharthino Vayam Prapta, Rajanya Nanya Kankshina. The Supreme Lord said, O exalted King, give us battle in the form of a duel, if you think it fitting. We are princes and have come to beg a fight. We have no other request to make of you. You see, they were not Brahmins. They were not going to ask some charity, some cows and some land, something. They were Kshatriyas. Now they finally came. See, Krishna to to protect Indra, to protect Indra's kingdom, he went as Vaman Dev and cheated Bali Maharaj. Here, to serve Maharaj Yudhishthira and to take care of Jarasandha, they disguised as Brahmins, cheated Jarasandha, asking for a duel. The complete cheating. This is not Kshatriya behavior. But this is what Krishna can go to any extent to protect his devotees and protect his devotees' honor. He's ready to give his own honor away. With Jarasandha, he got Ranchod Rai name. He ran away from the battlefield. Now he's disguising and coming to Jarasandha and begging. Why? Begging for fight. Because Maharaj Yudhishthira's sacrifice has to go on and Bhima has to be glorified for killing Jarasandha. Krishna could have killed Jarasandha. What's a big deal for him? But he wanted to give the credit to Bhimsen. Aso vrikodhara parthas tasya bhratarjuno hiyayam anyor matuleyam mam krishnam janihi terapam. Over there is Bhima, son of Pritha, and this is his brother Arjun. Know me to be a maternal cousin, Krishna, your enemy, te ripum. Evam avedito raja, jaha socha sma magada, ah chamarshito manda, yuddham tarhi dadami va. So here Krishna asked for a dual fight. He did not say with whom. He just asked for a fight. Look at Jarasandha also. He's not an ordinary fighter. Thus challenged, Magadharaj laughed out loud and contemptuously said, all right, you fools, I'll give you a fight. Because inside, in his heart, as Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that Jarasandha felt inner satisfaction because he thought that his enemies had been humiliated by having to dress like Brahmins to approach him. Thus, Acharya understands Jarasandha's mind as follows: O weak ones, forget the botheration of fighting. Why not just accept my head? By dressing yourselves as Brahmins, begging charity, you have made your heroism set like the sun. But if somehow you have not lost your courage, I'll give you a battle. But this is Krishna. For his devotees, serve his devotees, he can go to any extent. Na tvaya bhiruna yotse yudhi viklava tejasa mathuram sopurim tyakva samudram sharanam gataha. So he says, I'll not fight with you, Krishna, for you are a coward. Your strength abandoned you in the midst of battle, and you fled your own capital of Mathura to take shelter in the sea. So you ran away. He forgot 17 times, Krishna and Balram, just two of them. They killed the whole army and they were about to kill Jarasandha and they left him alone. Jarasandha forgot. Ayam tu vayasa tulyo nati satto name sama arjuno na bhaved yodha bhimas tulya balo mama. As for this one, Arjun, he is not as old as I, nor is he very strong. For Jarasandha, he is saying, Arjun is not strong. And Arjun was so strong, the whole Kaurav army was afraid of him. But here he is saying, Arjun is a bacha, he is not strong. Since he is now no match for me, he should not be the contender. But Bhima, however, is as strong as I am. So this is Kshatriya spirit. No cheating, nothing. He did not cheat. Krishna is the one who was cheating here. इति युक्त्वा भीमसेनाय प्रादाय महतीं गदां द्वितीयां स्वयं आदाय निर्जगाम पुराद्वहि. Having said this, Jarasandha offered Bhimsen a huge club, took up another himself, and went outside the city. तदा समय खले वीरो संयुक्ता वितरेतरम जगनतुर व्रज कल्पाभ्याम गदाभ्याम रण दुर्मदो. The two heroes thus began battling each other on the level fighting grounds outside the city. Maddened with the fury of combat, they struck each other with their lightning bolt-like clubs. And they both were equally matched, had the strength of 10,000 elephants. Mandalani vichitrani savyam dakshinameva cha charato shushube yuddham natyorivar rangino. As they skillfully circled left and right like actors dancing on a stage, the fight presented a magnificent spectacle. Jarasandha and Bhima here demonstrate their expertise in the use of clubs. Thus, it can be understood that both fighters were fearless and steady even in the rage of battle. Tataschat chata shabdo vajra nishpe sannibha gadyo kshiptayo rajan dantyor ev dantino. When Jarasandha and Bhimsen's clubs loudly collided, O king, the sound was like the impact of the big tusks of two fighting elephants or the crash of a thunderbolt in a flashing electrical storm. That this translation is based on Prabhupada's Krishna. So this is how they were fighting. Teve gade bhuj javena nipatte mane anyonyatim asakati pad karo rujtrum churni babhu turupetya yatharka shakhe samyudhayottar dviradyorev deeptam manyo anvayo. They swung their clubs at each other and with such speed and force that as the clubs struck their shoulders, hips, feet, hands, thighs, and collarbones, the weapons were crushed and broken like branches of arka trees with which two enraged elephants furiously attack each other. Wow, the clubs were crushed. This is how strong they both were. Itham tayo prahatayor gadayor riviro kruddho swe mushtir bhiraya spar share pishtam shabdastayo prahar tor bhayor ivasin nirghat vajra parashustak talatad no tha. Their clubs thus ruined those great heroes among men, angrily pummeled each other with their iron-hard fists. As they slapped each other, the sound resembled the crash of elephants colliding or harsh thunderclaps. Tayor evam praharato samashiksha valo jaso nirveshesham abhodyuddham akshina javyor nripa. As they thus fought, this contest between opponents of equal training, strength, and stamina reached no conclusion. And so they kept on fighting, O king, without any let-up. So Prabhupada translated that at the end of each day's fighting, they lived at night as friends in Jarasandha's palace, and the next day they fought again. In this way, they passed 27 days in fighting. 27 days. And on the 28th day, Bhimsen told Krishna, my dear Krishna, I must frankly admit that I cannot conquer Jarasandha. Shatrur janma mriti vidvana jivitam cha jarakritam partham me apyaya svena tejasa chintayadhari. Lord Krishna knew the secret of his enemy Jarasandha's birth and death, and also how he had been given life by the demoness Jara. Considering all this, Lord Krishna imparted his special power to Bhima. See, this is mercy of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada writes, Krishna knew the mystery of birth of Jarasandha. Jarasandha was born in two different parts from two different mothers. When his father saw that the baby was useless, he threw the two parts into the forest. There they were later found by a witch named Jara. who was killed in the black arts. She managed to join the two parts of the baby from top to bottom. Knowing this, Lord Krishna therefore also knew how to kill him. And that's why his name was Jarasandha. So he was put together by Jara. So since she put the two parts together, made the baby alive, he was known as Jarasandha. Sanchityariva dhopayam bhimasya mogadarshana darshayamas vitapam patyan iva sangyaya. Having determined how to kill the enemy, that Lord of infallible vision made a sign to Bhima by tearing in half a small branch of a tree. Tadvigyaya mahasattva Bhima praharatambara grihitva padyo shatru patyamas bhutale. Understanding the sign, mighty Bhima, the best of fighters, seized his opponent by the feet and threw him to the ground. Ekam padam padakramya dorbhyamanyam pragraya saha gudataha patyamasa shakam eva mahagajaha. Bhima pressed down on one leg with his foot while grabbing Jarasandha's other leg in his hands, and just as a great elephant might break the branch of a tree, Bhima tore Jarasandha apart from the anus upward. Ek padaruru vrishna kati prishta stanansake ek bhavakshini bhru karne shakle dadrushu prajaha. The king's subjects then saw him lying in two separate pieces, each with a single leg, thigh, testicle, hip, shoulder, arm, eye, eyebrow, and ear, and with half a back and chest. So, full body surgery was done by Bhimasena. Hahakaru mahanasina nihate magadeshware puja masa turbhimam parirabhya jayachuto. With the death of the Lord of Magha, the great cry of lamentation arose, while Arjuna and Krishna congratulated Bhima by embracing him. Sahadevam sattatanya Bhagwan Bhuta Bhavana Abhyaschind Meyatma Magadhanam Patim Prabhu Mochya Masa Rajanyan Samruddha Magadhenye. The immeasurable Supreme Personality of Godhead, the sustainer and benefactor of all living beings, coronated Jarasandha's son, Sahadeva, as a new ruler of the Magadhas. The Lord then freed all the kings Jarasandha had imprisoned. So Prabhupada writes, although Jarasandha was killed, neither Krishna nor the two Pandav brothers made a claim to the throne. Their purpose in killing Jarasandha was to stop him from creating disturbance against a proper discharge of world peace. A demon always creates disturbances, whereas a demigod always tries to keep peace in the world. The mission of Lord Krishna is to give protection to the righteous persons and to kill the demons who disturb a peaceful situation. Therefore, Lord Krishna immediately called for the son of Jarasandha, whose name was Sahadeva, and with due ritualistic ceremonies, he asked him to occupy the seat of his father and reign over the kingdom peacefully. Lord Krishna is a master of the whole cosmic creation, and he wants everyone to live peacefully and execute Krishna consciousness. After installing Sahadeva on the throne, he released all the kings, all the 20,000 kings and princes who had been imprisoned unnecessarily by Jarasandha. So thus ends the purpose to 10th canto's 72nd chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Slaying of the of the demon Jarasandha. So I guess I can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, long 27 days of fight. It seems like when Lord Krishna knows that how to kill Jarasandha, why not in a couple of days he could hold Bhima?
Well, Bhimsen did not surrender. He did not ask.
Okay. Okay.
And also Krishna wanted to, show the strength of Jarasandha also. He was very, very powerful king.
Mhm.
Strength and at the same time his hospitality, that every night they would dine together. And in the morning they fight together. This is amazing.
Mm. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Chalo, so we'll stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare